It's Part to Truth with me on Kopotse JJ Tawani. Tonight we're coming to you from Alice, the University of Fort Hare, a very, very historic and one can even say iconic institution in the lives of our country. Lots of leaders from our liberation struggle, both in our country and other countries, have studied here and sharpened their political teeth here in the grounds of Fort Hare. We're coming to you from what is called a centenary gallery, which showcases the history of Fort Hare that turns 106 on the 8th of February. So truly a historic moment even for us to be here again, just to reminisce about what this place means, its role in our society, and so on. But it's been in the news for lots of unsavory things recently. The Vice Chancellor, Professor Buhlungu, who is my guest tonight, escaped an assassination attempt, but his bodyguard wasn't so lucky, and in fact last week was buried amidst tension on campus and people saying, what on earth are authorities doing to stem that kind of type? But we go behind the scenes to understand with Professor Buhlungu what on earth is going on in this historic institution. Prof, thank you so much for agreeing to talk to us. I know it's difficult times. In fact, I was pleasantly surprised that you agreed immediately to say, yeah, whenever you are ready, because right. I thought we'll have to hide, right, to interview someone in a black hole, Right. So I'm glad we are here in this lovely gallery that reminds us of the mission, right? And one can even say the success of this institution in producing leadership for our continent. So thank you. Thank you so much. What on earth is going on? Paint for our viewers a picture of how did we get here? How did we get to a point where a Vice Chancellor needs 6 bodyguards?
Thank you very much, JJ, and thanks also for making the time and the trip to our great Alice campus. Just by way of correction, on the 8th of February, yes, next month, we turn 107 years. 107 years, yes, yeah. Very, very significant, yeah, for us. Indeed, you're right. It's a very important institution. It's produced generations upon generations of leaders, not just political leaders, professionals, community builders, all sorts. Yeah. They've cut their teeth here. And so I'm very proud to be here, to be leading a team that runs this institution. So that's where we are. Fort Hare has got 3 campuses, this one, main one, a smaller one in East London, and an even smaller one in Bisho. So that's where we are. But we're based here, we live here, I live here, most of my executive live here in Alice. Yeah. Right, now, your question, you say, how did we get here? Yeah. How do you get to a situation where a Vice Chancellor gets bodyguards in the first, yeah, place? It's completely abnormal. When I always said to people, recently as I was telling my story, is that I started here on the 1st of February 2017, and in all that time, I've never known peace. I've never known peace.
From day one?
From day one. I can tell you now, the week 2 of my arrival, there was a 7-week strike that crippled East London campus for 7 weeks. Nothing. No admin, no teaching, no learning, nothing for 7 weeks. And then I can relate other episodes thereafter. At that time, I came in completely cold. I had no friends. I had no comrades here. I had no business associates. I'm not a business person in any case. And I came in to do what I do. My base and my feet and my grounding is that of an academic. I'm an academic. That's me. Yeah. Of course, at a certain point, I made the decision to get into academic administration. Yeah. But my academic grounding shapes how I deal with administration, yeah, of the university. I've been at good universities, and I know what a good university looks like, and my vision from then and now and in the future is to make this a very good university. So that's the nub of it. Now, let's come to this question. It became very clear to me from the start. There were certain things that were not done correctly. Let me start with a contract for refurbishing and maintaining residences. Even as I started, it must have been the first or second month of my start, I met officials from the Department of Higher Education and Training. They said that contract with that company is illegal. And this is a contract signed in 2012.
Sure.
5 years.
It's been running.
Yeah, it's been running.
For 5 years.
Yes, and it's illegal.
Yeah.
I said, why? They said, first of all, it exceeds the period permissible for signature by council. It should therefore be signed by the minister, and it was never. The contract was 15 years instead of 9 years and 11 months.
Yeah.
And so for the first time, and as I arrive, I'm settled, I'm loaded with this burden of trying to legalize something that's been illegal, that even the National Department was aware, told me was illegal.
So what did you do about it?
Well, first of all, my first thought was this. Could it be that everyone had given up on Fort Hare? Could it be that even the National Department had given up on Fort Hare? Contract signed in 2012. I arrived in 2017. In that intervening period, what were they doing to regularize and legalize that contract?
Yes.
And now suddenly someone is putting it on my shoulders. So you get my point. And of course, I'll tell you later about how we did that. The second thing, the university was unstable. Full of toy every time. We never finished the academic year. There were always interruptions to teaching and learning and all of those kinds of things. There was staff unrest. In 2018, we had a 2 months strike where everything came to a grinding halt. Okay, so a very unstable institution. So that's the first thing that hit me. Apart from this contract, it was the first thing, this instability. And I had come from stable institutions. I had taught in the classroom, I'd been an administrator, and I had never seen this. And someone who asked me the question, had you known, before you assumed duties, before you signed, would you have signed on the dotted line? I said, don't ask me that question, I've signed already. I'm in now, and there's no looking back. Now, I must say, therefore, the areas where the dodgy behaviors tended to predominate. In Alice, we own our own residences, all of them. And we've expanded them recently, the bed spaces. In East London, we don't own residences. We lease buildings. That leasing arrangement, again, which goes back, is one of the hotbeds for corruption. Okay? For things irregular. The first case I reported of an irregular contract was in February 2018 of a person, a known businessman, who forged my signature.
My goodness.
Forged my signature, and I was alerted to this by the bank because he was brought in outside of your usual procurement systems. He was brought in. They pushed aside the procurement system. They got this one. He must have been somebody's buddy. And they gave him a residence for 66 students. But remember, he had not submitted anything. And yet the letter that he awarded, thank you for your submission, to a person who had never made a submission. Now he goes to the bank to make money, to ask for a loan. They ask for collateral. He says, no, don't worry. I've got a residence of 66 students in East London for Fort Hare. They said, can you give us the lease? The guy then got from an inside person and then forged my signature. The bank alerted me to it. They said, they're just doing, the regular check. Do I recognize this contract? I said, that's not my signature, forged. I recorded it. I reported it to the police February 2018. That case has not moved 1 inch. It has. That guy has not even pleaded. That guy has not even pleaded. This is the first case, 2018. Okay? And basically you have a person who obviously was connected, was not connected just to politicians and so on, was connected to the justice system somewhere. Because the wheels of justice just came to a grinding halt. They were not moving. I'm using these just to illustrate that from the word go, there's something amiss here. There's something wrong here. And of course, I reported the case.
Yeah.
There's another case where I was alerted that a cleaning contract, cleaning buildings, cleaning lecture rooms, and so on and so forth, was also crooked. Also signed in 2012. This contract was running, and it was being serviced. The university was paying per month as per agreement. But on the side, bogus invoices were being issued and being paid to the same company. They grew in magnitude. They grew in magnitude. Let me show you how ludicrous it was. Apparently, the first bogus invoice, aside from the normal one, was for 48 toilet rolls, and the amount paid, the invoice was for 15,000 rand.
Sure.
Now, I mean, it is funny. It would be really funny if it was not so serious, because over time, that money went up. The signed money went up to 19.5 million. I reported it to the police. I sent a letter to the minister, at the time Minister Pando, just to inform, and so on and so forth. I reported the case again. I'll tell you something very odd that happened. Because people ask these questions and they don't understand how a university operates. So I went to a briefing with the then audit chairperson of the council audit committee in Bishop, together with the internal auditor, chief internal auditor, to brief about this case and so on and so forth. And I said to this guy, the chairperson, I said, listen, I've arranged for the Hawks to come to the office so I can report this case. They're bringing a whole team, typewriters, printers, and so on for me to record. 19.5 is no child's play.
Yeah.
So anyway, we finished the briefing with this guy and the chief internal auditor. And there I am driving to East London. As I'm taking the bend around Hemingway's, doing that bend, this internal audit chairperson of council gave me a call. And he says to me, VC, I've thought about this. You should not report that case.
Let's pause there. Right? It sounds truly like Sodom and Gomorrah stuff. You'll tell us more, because I want to ask after the break, right? For those interventions, do you think that's why you are the target? Why you? Surely you have a team that is at the coalface, a team that is signing these contracts. You've got adjudication committees, you've got council. Why the VC? Why are you the target for assassination? We'll talk about that after the break. We are in Alice, and we're talking to the VC, Buhlungu, Professor Buhlungu, who will tell us more about what is going on in Fort Hare. And after the break, he expands some more. Stay tuned. Speaking truth to power and conducting conversations that build. And one such conversation tonight, we're focusing on Fort Hare. We're out in Alice talking to Professor Buhlungu. Just before I get to that big question about why you, surely the fact that a chairperson of audit of council can phone you and say don't report a crime showed that the fish was rotting right from the top, and it was not just from the bottom, like cleaning contracts there somewhere, but also on a governance level. That surely should concern you.
It was a shocker for me. It was a shocker.
Because these are your bosses.
These are my bosses. So that's that. To cut a very long story short, I went ahead and reported the case to the Hawks. I ignored his advice. Now, that was in July. I wrote to the minister and so on and so forth.
Did he give you a reason why you shouldn't report?
No, he kind of he mumbled a few things. One of which was, you can't trust these law enforcement authorities.
Oh, okay.
Whatever that means.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, cut a long story short. Then there was a strike, the 2-month strike. Yeah. All of this is happening in the midst of the strike. In August, I received a letter saying that I'm being investigated.
Okay.
Authorized by this same chairperson of the audit committee, but written by the chief internal auditor. Now, something very odd there.
You investigated for what?
I will come to that. The line manager of a vice chancellor is the chairperson of council, not the chairperson of something else, or the chief internal auditor. I immediately received this. I said, chairperson, do you know this? She said, I know nothing about it. And they say, oh, you're going to have to hand over your gadgets and so on and so forth. I said, take my laptop, take my phone. They go and image it. They appointed an advocate. Anyway, the advocate, long story short, again, came back, there was nothing. But I'm told that when he reported in that meeting, in the audit committee, this same chap said, go and find anything. Find anything. So I'm being investigated.
Yeah.
The heart of it was, oh, I'm having an affair with an office manager and this and the other. That kind of thing. I have a child with this person and so on and so forth. That's what it was.
All untrue.
Of course. You know, that's the point. That's why I said, take my gadgets and bring. And when that person interviewed me, that advocate, I told him, and when he reported, he said to them, I can't see anything. I can't find anything.
Yeah.
And he was told, go and find something. Now, from that time onwards, and the strike that had happened, triggered something, a phenomenon called VC must go. It was now VC must go. It was very clear. I was touching the wrong notes, the wrong buttons for certain people. And we started dealing with people, crooked people, people who were using the university to run businesses, running businesses to trade with the university. A registrar, the most incompetent registrar I've ever encountered in my life, but also involved in a lot of mischief, dealt with him and a whole lot of other people. So it became very clear now we're going to deal with people. And as we dealt with people, some people were saying fine, good, but there were people, especially the walking wounded, the ones outside, started gathering. They didn't gather by themselves only, they gathered with politicians. I want to underline this thing because somebody earlier said, oh, politicians have got the proof. Have you got the proof? And I said, the proof is with the hawks right now of politicians.
What were the politicians doing?
The proof is with the SIU now. So I'm not making
this is just a general blanket that politicians, or are you able to tell us who they are? Because the trouble is now we're talking with life and death now, so we can't be dithering. Who are these people who are involved? Are you able to give us one or two? Are they people in the education ministry? Are they people in the province, local government? Who are they?
I'll give an indication. Let me run with this one a little. So that's what it was. So inside, and we're dealing with all sorts of things. People defrauding the university, in the residence kind of division, people selling spaces, beds to students, people doing all sorts of other things. Abuse in the fleet department, which is continuing now, which we're nailing, but it's very, very difficult to eradicate. And then we came up with the Bisho Honors Program, the admission of people by a certain professor, Professor Ijeoma. And we uncovered a major scam there. Now, you're asking me these politicians, they're there. They were invited to come in, take shortcuts so that they can get a master's and others even a PhD. And that's what we were dealing with. So they push back. Therefore, it's push
back. We
back.
expose these politicians because when we talk about these things, we are told no, these were defaming people, etc.
No. JJ, this time, don't worry. The list is with the SIU as I speak. The list is with the Hawks as I speak. As a matter of fact, one of them was approached by the media this week and forwarded me these inquiries from the media. A politician, I'm talking about a politician. I'm talking about a politician who is senior, who's in the National Parliament. I'm talking about a politician who is a deputy minister. Okay, so you can see, okay, I am also aware that some of the people that we moved out of the university for their own sake, but for the sake of the resources of the university, they started kind of coalescing in circles with some politicians, and that some offices of political parties were used actually for meetings to discuss Fort Hare, to plot about Fort Hare. Okay, so I have no doubt about it. Again, I'm not clutching at
Are
straws.
you afraid to call them out, or you think maybe it may be a wrong accusation?
No, at this point, my confidence is this, that the law enforcement authorities have got their names. When I came here just now, I've just come from a briefing. So this is no fabrication. This is no fabrication.
You just can't tell us who they are.
I will not tell you. But I'll tell you one interesting fact. Earlier on, it must have been 2021, the spokesperson of one of the chief politicians in the province, when this thing about deregistering and people irregularly admitted by that professor and so on, wrote me a WhatsApp or inbox and says, Dear VC, are you able to tell me if any of these people affected by these irregular admissions includes, if that list includes senior politicians in the province? I said, call me. I said, listen up. You work for politicians. I don't work for politicians. Do your homework. Let the politicians tell you yourself. But he was asking for and on behalf of top. I'm not saying middle.
Last time we had a conversation, I asked you, and I think you still gave me an answer that was sidestepping my question about whether the issue that involved, for example, the premier of this province, Mr. Maboyan, was resolved by a 40. Because it's a big issue, and you couldn't just let it fester. The last time I talked to you was just before the election.
Okay, let me do this to you.
That one must be clear.
Let me do this. There's a number. It's in excess of 15. Of people who were deregistered. Because they were entered in a bogus way by Professor Ijom. Right?
Who's been investigated by the Hawks as we speak.
As we speak, who sits in this country, who's been sitting for 10 years with no papers in this country. He sits here. I can tell you now that issue.
But that issue, was it resolved?
No. I'm going there now. I'm going there, JJ. You asked me the question of the premier, was it resolved? Resolved how? He was deregistered. We deregistered him. He wrote to all sorts of places, to council. He was told no. He threatened to go to court. Our lawyer said, let's meet in court. And that's the last we heard of the thing.
So
in other words,
that may demonstrate some action to say, yes, there was corruption in terms of registering people wrongly, him and others. And the university has taken a stance to push that back.
No, those ones unequivocally.
Is that why you are a target? Let's get to that point now. In your view, and don't be modest about, I want you to tell me the truth about why you think you are the target. There could be many other people. You've got a team around you. You've got people who have other, signing authorities. Why are you the target?
Well, why am I the target? Because I'm plugging the holes. I'm plugging the holes. I'm closing the taps. I'm stopping the mischief. And more than that, I talk straight. I don't beat about the bush.
Let's talk some more straight. Campaigners like you, right, can also be caught in a crossfire. Now, in your way, you explain your life as an academic, right? So I assume that it means that you are saying you have kept your nose clean. You don't have business interests. You don't have people who, by your appointment here, some 6 years ago, whenever, right, felt that now we've got an entry into Fort Hare. And when that did not materialize, because sometimes when people get into authority and they don't know where the taps are and so on, their friends outside may be disappointed after 5 years to say, you delivered nothing, and then turn on them. Is that that scenario you think of that in any way, in terms of your own interest?
I've never, JJ, I've never promised anyone to deliver anything for any person, material or otherwise.
No people came to delegations after you had VC here to say, hey, where are the opportunities?
No. Even mundane things. Even mundane things come to the suites at the stadium. The cricket is playing or rugby. I don't do those things. I do those things also. Also because the security thing kicked in from 2017 already. So I've tried to kind of...
Let me extend that question a bit now. In terms of executive, now you've had 5 years here, and you have your 5-year contract has just been renewed. In other words, you can't blame people who were in an executive. On the executive is your responsibility. If they were wrong or bad or incompetent, you ought to have fired them by now.
Yes.
And you have a second chance now. You have a second term. You don't have to apologize to anybody. I assume that will be your last term.
Right.
You know, I don't know what the constitution of your institution says.
Right.
Right. So can you badge or rather vouch rather for your executive right now? Because if your corruption is so systematic, it means that it must be happening in various corners. You've already pointed the finger at council whenever that happened.
Yes.
You've already pointed the finger at the bottom, giving contracts, you name it. What about here?
The people around me.
Executive.
The people in that boardroom.
Yes.
People in that boardroom.
Yeah.
Right. From where I sit now, I can vouch for those people in the room. But I want to add something.
Yes.
There is a recent case
Yeah.
where I could not vouch, where information came to my attention,
Yeah.
and I acted absolutely swiftly. And I'm not talking about 5 years
This was
ago.
recent.
Recent. I'm talking recent.
Tell me about it quickly.
2021.
Yeah.
Yes, I acted swiftly because it was very clear.
Yeah.
This is not the way we do things here,
Yeah.
and this is going to drag us in a different direction. I took swift action. Swift action. Now, let's put it...
Did you fire somebody as a VC for corruption since you arrived here?
Too many.
Too many.
Too many.
No, in your executive.
Yeah. Including this one who just left. This one jumped before we nailed him.
Who are we talking about?
We're talking about Dr. Van Heerden, Oscar Van Heerden.
All right. I saw a statement you issued a few days ago, 2 days ago, that seems to suggest that he was not a target, right? Because remember I asked you in terms of your executive that he then, after your incident, said, I was a target, I left before, I didn't want to figure out whether I'm going to be the next one. Right? Is that implausible that somebody working close to you, right, could also be a target like you are in terms of fighting corruption?
He was never a target.
Yeah.
That statement that made is a blue lie. Yeah, and in fact, it's embarrassing that a person at his level can make such a statement during a moment of tragedy such as this one.
Yeah.
He was not under threat at all. What he's not telling people is that he was involved in cyber espionage in the
Okay, let's pause there. I want to take a break because that's quite big and I want you to break it down for me after the break. And then also talk to me about the hit list that was published by the Daily Dispatch, right? Whether or not who was on that list and so on, and how do we say who's not a target, who's not, given the widespread nature of the corruption.
Right.
Let's take a break. After the break, Professor Buhlungu tells me more. It looks like a lot to be unraveled. It's Power to Truth. While still in our list, we're talking to Professor Buhlungu. He's getting heated now. He's really telling me the depth of it all. And of course, we're going to be also exploring solutions. What needs to be done? He's called on the president to act. And I'll be asking him also about what on earth the president should be doing. Let's quickly get rid of this one, because it's important that, you know, people around you either have the same agenda with you or not.
Right.
You are accusing Dr. Van Heerden of having cyber, we say cyber
espionage. I'm not accusing.
It's been found out.
We have
evidence.
Yes, which we've passed on to the law enforcement authorities.
Explain what that means. It also sounds complicated.
What it means is this: basically, hacking into the system, having a permanent thing, and then to use words to export inboxes from our email system at will, and then using those to Photoshop and to then do a smear. That smear, listen, and that smear was actually conducted under the pseudonym Mark Milton. Mark Milton. Now we know all the information that's being exported. Then there's someone working on it, and then turn it and patch it and cut and paste and do all of that thing. And the name is Mark Milton. Mark Milton has been relentless these last 3 years.
Sure.
The last 2 years. Relentless.
In doing what?
In smears. You smear the VC, you smear Vital, you smear my manager, Ruth's name, the one, the fleet manager who died, and a few other people. But the interesting thing is that we found yet another one now in November. a different one, under a different name this time. A person calling themselves Madonsela, surname Madonsela. They did another smear, they changed from Milton. This time, the smear included the late Mr. Wessel, for reasons I could not comprehend. So in other words, once you appear on that smear, you not only are you a target for slander and smear and
and this was pointed to Dr. Van Heerden directly, that he was the one. Has he denied those? Has there been a case? Has there been a charge?
He jumped before the charges were put before him.
So what happened? Because it's 5 or 6 months ago, isn't it?
Yeah. No, we put it to the law enforcement authority. It's never going to die. It's never going to die. That one is in the hands of the law enforcement authority.
Tell me about the hit list. Was he part of the hit list of the Daily Dispatch that was released?
He never was on any.
He was not on that list.
He was never on any hit list whatsoever. I can tell you that now.
The rest of your executive, are you happy with the ones that are there now, that they would back your agenda for change here and to approve corruption?
I can tell you what, I've been working with them for years now. 4 years, 3 years, and so on and so forth. The renewal, the institutional renewal that we're talking about, the decade of renewal, they are leading it. They are leading it in various fronts. We got a clean audit thanks to the CFO.
Let's talk about the clean audit right there.
Yes.
In terms of the report, it was called, and if I label it wrongly, tell me, but it was called the whistleblowers report.
Yes.
Right? They pointed out that you, in terms of finances, have numerously, and you must really clarify, numerously signed off beyond your levels of authority. Like in any campus or institution, they'll say the VC can sign up to 20 million, and if it's over 20 million, you must go to council. I'm just giving you as an example. Can you address that? Was that ever, first of all, was that ever clarified, or was it ever a fact? Secondly, right, in terms of whatever else the whistleblowers said, has there been action against people who were pointed out?
As I said, we discovered the person. We don't know who the kind of co-collaborators were. Now let's go to this one. The so-called whistleblower
report.
It's from Mark Milton.
Oh no!
All of that stuff is from Mark Milton. But you know what he did? Whenever he did
so it's a fake report.
Well, call it that. Call it bogus. Whenever he did it, he sent it to News 24. He sent it to other newsmakers. He sent it to Jonathan Jansen, I don't know why. He sent it to the presidency, he sent to the minister, he sent to all kinds of media, Mail and Guardian and so on and so forth. Mark Milton. That thing is there.
Has this ever been reported anywhere? I'm hearing this for the first time.
Well, it's been in the media. But let me come to this question about this signing beyond
levels of authority.
No. People misunderstand. Approvals of contracts. I approve up until 9 years. Council above, right? Council above, and then at a certain threshold, the minister. Now, understand this very clearly. If there's a building that we're going to lease, and it's 25 million, it goes to council. Council approves it, right? Now, every month we must service. In other words, we must service that lease, right? It means money must be signed. That I sign.
But you're not signing 25 million, you're signing only what is required for that month.
No, listen to this. The approval is written already by the council resolution.
But you then execute.
I must then execute. It's an admin.
So in the whole time you have been here, you have never been found signing beyond your authority at all.
Approving.
And where there is such a thing, was it regularized?
Put it this way. Approving. The word is approving beyond my authority. The key thing here is approval, taking a decision. Okay, let me give you an example. We just built a residence here. We got some residents, expanded our residences. We got money from the department, but we also got 278 million from DBSA as a loan, right? We must service that loan. That loan was approved by council. But every month, I must sign a letter, a requisition that pays DBSA. That's my job. That's my delegated job. I'm not breaking anything.
Yes.
I'm not giving DBSA any advantage or whatsoever, or anybody any advantage. I'm simply executing. The resolution stands.
Yeah.
That's what it is. This is exactly the point.
Yeah.
By the way, let's take this one, this so-called
whistleblower report.
Yeah,
yes.
this one. You know what it is?
Yeah.
It's that 2012 contract. That's what
Oh,
that's what, and they talk about $1 billion. No,
Yeah.
that money from 2012, the university has been fleeced of more than R1 billion
Yeah.
because of that crooked contract.
Sure.
The expectation is that then I must service all contracts that have been approved by council.
Yeah. There was an allegation linked to this, what you are saying. I would like you to tell it before we go to a break again, right? That some of the people mentioned in the whistleblower report or whatever, first of all, there's been no action taken against them. Secondly, some of them then became targets of shootings and what have you after these allegations were made, right? Did we find a connection between the two incidents? These people are mentioned in this report, and then these are the same 3 people who are victims of shootings, just 2 or 3 weeks thereafter.
But that's exactly the point, JJ.
Yeah.
This is exactly the point. You make these allegations, you distract and you detract from the main issue.
Yeah.
And you name people there.
Yeah.
While these people are still kind of reeling from the shock of this kind of this slander,
Yeah.
they get shot at. There's nobody who has not been slandered has
Yeah.
been shot at. It's people who've been slandered in this way, okay? Then they get shot at. That's how they've done
But
it.
how do you explain that link? Because the allegation there was that that in itself, this shooting and so on of this particular executives was in itself a distraction from the allegations being made. That's why I'm asking you whether or not, regardless of who's the whistleblower now,
Yes.
right? Have you satisfied yourself that any allegations in there were all fake?
They're absolutely bogus.
Yeah.
Absolutely bogus.
We're going to talk about way forward after the break.
Yes,
You've
but
asked for the president to intervene.
Yes.
What on earth can you do, right? And you must correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it doesn't look like you are interested in, convoys and ministers coming here. In fact, you didn't even meet with the Minister of Higher Education, I'm told. I want you to tell me what needs to be done so that all that we have discussed here, we have a call to action.
Okay.
To the President, to the Minister of Higher Education, to students, to stakeholders here. After the break, we round off that conversation with Professor Buhlungu. It's Power to Truth. We're rounding off our conversation with Professor Buhlungu, coming to you tonight from Alice in Fort Hare University, one of the historic icons of our time. What should be done? You've called for the president to do something. You sounded quite fed up with having to be asking once again, because some of the things you're talking about happened 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and there's been little by way of arrests and stuff like that, especially after these shootings. One of your executives passed away, one of your bodyguards passed away. It sounds like a mess. What must be done?
It is a mess, JJ. Let me go one step back only.
Yeah.
When that council, the first council, became dysfunctional,
Yeah.
I wrote to Minister Pando, she was the
Yes,
minister at that time,
at that time, yeah.
to dissolve this council.
Yeah.
I then part of a delegation, but Advocate Olaine, who was chairperson,
Yeah.
to the minister to make the same request.
Yes.
Because the council was dysfunctional.
Yeah.
So me and several members of that council, because it had gone rogue.
Yeah.
1. 2, we realized that now this thing about investigation is big, much bigger than ourselves. So we then decided with the SIU, we realized they were also drilling. We are drilling. We said, let's combine forces.
Yeah.
And signed an MOU, build a strong submission to the president. They did. We invited, forget the thing, the hot air outside.
Yeah.
We as a university decided to invite the SIU to work with us in a partnership.
Yeah.
Unprecedented for the SIU and unprecedented in institutions where there are corruption. So we're acting. 2. 3, we've put a whole portfolio of cases, different cases, with the Hawks. So we've been working with those agencies. Everything in this mix, I'm waiting for Milton to also put his stuff in that mix. Of course, I know he will not.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what we're doing. What we're doing internally,
yes,
we're continuing with the renewal of the institution.
Okay.
We're tightening the screws, we're fixing our systems, we are adopting new policies of new regulations, new controls, and everyone is excited about this decade of renewal of the university. That's where we are. And we communicate straight to the point. We don't beat about the bush.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you something. You said that, I didn't go to the ministers' meeting and so on and so forth.
Why?
No. It was very straightforward. We said to all of them, we said we're in a week of mourning.
Yes.
The family was keen to get the burial on Saturday, so we had 4 days virtually.
Yeah.
Leave us to grieve and help the family.
Yes.
Of course, the ministers came, and I said, fine.
They came ahead of the funeral.
Ahead of the funeral.
Yes.
And in that week, that was hectic for us. So, and then there were 3 ministers. There were 3. There was Minister Gele,
yes,
there was Minister Nzimande, there was Minister Mbele.
Yeah.
Okay. There was a whole lot of things because they wanted a public PR thing here with a press briefing. I said, I'm going to no press briefing at that point. Eventually, it was agreed that then the meetings will be separated. The security cluster will meet in Zwelitsha, the other people will meet here.
Yes.
I went to Zwelitsha.
Yes.
And I said, I put it to Minister Gele. I said, I came here because you're the one who have the handcuffs and the prison keys.
Yes.
I want you to act. And I gave him a very detailed thing. What has happened, transpired from that, is that a national team, task team, has now been created.
For Fort Head.
For Fort Head, dedicated to deal with these things. And part of the briefing I received this morning was precisely about that. That's where we are. We're not going to rest. I must also add that we're putting our own resources at the disposal of resolving these things. We make sure that all the executives, plus others, get protection. So the protection...
Tell me about that. What is that costing? Because I understand that it is really stepping into your resources because you have to do, like security upgrades for your executives, etc.
And cars and people carrying firearms and all of those kinds. It's costing us an arm and a leg. And that's why I realized that if I don't make this pitch to the president, all we're going to get are speeches. All we're going to get. So
you want him to do what? Is this security task team as a result of your request to him?
In fact, the president, after I spoke to him, myself, the Saturday after the incident, I spoke to him directly. He said he's dispatching these ministers. I must talk to them. But one thing the loop will only be closed when myself, the Chancellor, Advocate Dumisan Sebeza SC, Bishop Ivan Abrams, Chair of Council, and a couple of other people will meet with the President. We'll look one another in the eye and we say,
when is that happening?
That iconic institution that everyone celebrates is being stolen, has been captured for years. Do something. Do something.
But beyond...
Not these press briefings that land nowhere.
You have some ideas for him of what he ought to be doing, and have you communicated those to him yet, or you're waiting for this meeting?
One of the things that happens, for example, you see, the ministers came and then there were promises and there's going to be patrols. Just now, there are no patrols. There are no patrols.
As you speak.
And as I speak, there was one patrol, and there's another one, and that's it.
Like one van.
There was one van of these guys, very kind of laid back, and they came to my house. I said, no, you're not patrolling my house, you're patrolling the area for stuff. And they did it the second time. I spoke to the provincial commissioner to this morning. I told her that if you want to do patrol, do them properly. If you don't want to do it, don't do it.
Sure.
We're going to die, but you know. Don't give us half measures here. So that's what it is.
So you need more fortification, forgive the pun, but you need more fortification of this place to make sure that the criminals know they cannot
it's not so much
people.
It's not so much the fortifications. We want arrests. We want people thrown in jail. Mr. Roots died 9 months ago. The evidence, the killers of Mr. Roots are known. I can tell you now on TV.
They are known?
They are known.
By who?
By the police.
Do we know them? Do you know them?
I know them.
Who are they?
I'm not going to tell you on TV. Go talk to the police. Go talk to the police.
But the community must expose these people.
No, I know. But
Is it time to tip it on now?
Instead, we give them the run around. They give us the run around. They think we're going to let go.
Yeah.
We're not going to let go.
What's your relationship with the Minister of Higher Education now in this? Because obviously he should be worried about this. Should be doing something about it. He's got the whole department that he can, focus on this, etc. As a line manager, if you like, or a subject matter associate.
Yeah.
Explain quickly what's the relationship.
Perhaps JJ, the word relationship is a misnomer here.
There's none.
It's no. It's a wrong word.
What's the right word?
Right word. See, there's autonomy. We are an autonomous public institution.
Yes.
And the minister operates here.
Yeah.
Then there's council here.
Yes.
Then there's us here.
Yeah.
Where the action is going to come is here. When we need resources, additional resources, such as for security, we go here.
Yes.
The minister is supposed to cover us, to pray for us, and to do all of these other things for us.
Yeah. Is he doing that?
But the minister...
You feel him?
No, let's put it this way. The minister, just objectively, will never arrest. He's not equipped to arrest criminals. We're talking to him.
Yeah.
He has his own views about things. And we have our own views about things, and we're very clear that those will never clash. He will do his job.
Yeah.
He will do my job. But if he comes to campus and I'm busy, I expect everybody to respect that I have a community here of 16,000 students and about 3,000.
Finally, alumni worried, I'm sure. I know some of them, we students, co-students here, with some of them around the country. This was a century for lots of people. In conclusion, what do you say to them about what's happening here in Fort Hare?
First of all,
some light, some hope.
Look, we're still standing, and we're standing strong.
Yeah.
We will defend this great institution.
Okay.
We shall not waver. But most importantly, we are very grateful to all our alumni for the messages of support and solidarity to ourselves, to the family, to the children of Mr. Vesely. We also, beyond alumni, the country, the entire country and the world, we've received an avalanche of messages of solidarity. We're very happy. That gives us hope already.
We wish you well, VC. We're glad to see you still alive. And all the best with what you have to do.
Thank you very much.
Right. That's Professor Buhlungu. Seems still fire in his